The plaza fell silent as Duke Van studied Alira with calculating eyes. The news drones moved closer, capturing every moment. This confrontation was being broadcast across the galaxy in real time. However, the Duke continued, the question remains whether these artificial wings are legitimate. They could be a trick, a temporary illusion. They are real, Alira said. I can prove it. Then do so, Duke Van commanded. Prove these wings are worthy of recognition. Alira looked at Hyunwoo, who nodded encouragement. She turned to the assembled crowd and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. My people believe that wings define worth, that those born without wings or who lose them are incomplete, broken, less than full citizens. Her voice grew stronger. I believe this too. When my wings were cut away, I felt like I had lost my soul. I wanted to die. She gestured to Hyunwoo and his team. But these humans saw something different. They did not see a broken princess. They saw someone worth saving. Someone worth helping. Not because of what I was born with, but because of who I chose to be. Alira's wings spread wider, the light intensifying. My father chose politics over his daughter. Prince Vorn chose possession over respect. Duke Van chose tradition over justice. But these humans chose compassion. They asked nothing in return. They simply refused to accept that I was beyond help. She rose into the air again, this time with more confidence. The wings moved gracefully, carrying her in a spiral that climbed higher and higher. The artificial wings left trails of light, creating patterns that had never been seen before. Natural Vellani wings glowed in single colors or simple gradients. Alira's wings painted the sky with complex designs that shifted and flowed like living art. Watch what human ingenuity can do, Alira called out as she performed aerial maneuvers that drew gasps from the Vellani guards. She moved with speed and precision, the artificial wings responding to her thoughts faster than natural wings could. She dove at steep angles, pulled impossible turns, hovered in place with perfect stability. The colonists cheered. The Vellani looked stunned. Even Duke Van's expression had shifted from dismissal to genuine interest. Alira landed in front of the Duke again. You say these wings are not real, but they carry me through the sky. They respond to my emotions. They feel like part of my body. What makes them less real than the wings I was born with? Duke Van was quiet for a long moment. His political mind was working through the implications. If artificial wings could equal natural wings, the entire Vellani social hierarchy would need to be reconsidered. Thousands of wingless Vellani living in the lower cities might demand access to this technology. But before he could respond, Prince Vorn stepped forward. His face was red with rage. His wings flared bright red, the color of violence and challenge in Vellani culture. This is madness, he shouted. She is mine by right. The contract was signed by her father, the Emperor himself. Some metal toys built by groundlings don't change that. My father sold me, Alira said coldly. The contract was made without my consent. I removed my wings to void that contract. You cannot void a royal contract. Vorn's wings spread wide in an aggressive display. You belong to me. These artificial wings change nothing. He lunged forward, reaching for Alira. It was a mistake. Alira's new wings reacted faster than natural wings could, folding protectively around her and then snapping outward with enough force to knock Vorn backward. The prince stumbled, caught off balance. His pride wounded, he charged again. This time, Alira rose into the air, easily avoiding him. Vorn tried to follow, but his natural wings were slower to respond. Alira flew circles around him, demonstrating the superior maneuverability of her artificial wings. Stop this, Duke Van commanded. Vorn, stand down. But Vorn was beyond reason. His humiliation in front of cameras broadcasting to the entire galaxy had driven him to fury. He drew a weapon, a Vellani plasma blade that crackled with energy. The colony security forces moved forward, but Hyunwoo was faster. He stepped between Vorn and Alira. You'll have to go through me, Hyunwoo said calmly. Vorn pointed the blade at him. Gladly. You are the one who ruined everything. You gave her false hope with your artificial wings. You interfered with imperial business. I helped someone who needed help, Hyunwoo replied. That's not interference, that's being human. Ambassador Kelnis moved quickly, placing himself between Vorn and Hyunwoo. Prince Vorn, you are on a human colony under human law. If you harm a citizen here, it will be considered an act of war. I don't care, Vorn shouted. She was supposed to be mine. The Alliance needed this marriage. Without it, my family's position is weakened. And there it was. The truth finally spoken aloud. The marriage had never been about Alira or even about politics. It had been about power and money for Vorn's family. Duke Van's wings dimmed with disgust. So that is what this was about. Not alliance, not unity, just greed. Father, Vorn began. But the Duke cut him off with a gesture. You have embarrassed our house enough. Duke Van turned to Ambassador Kelnis. The marriage contract is void. I withdraw my family's claim on Princess Alira. Vorn looked shocked. But father, enough. You revealed your true motives in front of the entire galaxy. The Emperor will hear of this. Our family will be fortunate if he doesn't exile us for this shameful display. The Duke turned to Alira. His expression was hard, but held a trace of respect. Princess, you have proven yourself resourceful and strong. Perhaps stronger than many who still have their birth wings. I will report to your father that you are safe and have chosen to remain here. Will he accept that? Alira asked. He will have no choice. You have wings again. By our own laws, you have the right to refuse marriage, and the circumstances of this contract have been exposed as corrupt. Duke Van's wings flickered with something that might have been amusement. Besides, these artificial wings have given you something valuable. You have become a symbol. Forcing you to return now would make your father look weak. Ambassador Kelnis stepped forward. Princess Alira, I must ask you formally. Do you wish to return to Valani space? Alira looked at Hyunwoo and his team. Ji-won gave her an encouraging smile. Dongsu nodded. Yejin waved. These humans had given her more than wings. They had given her choice. I will return eventually, Alira said. But not yet. I have things to learn here first. About engineering. About building things instead of just inheriting them. About choosing your own path instead of following tradition. Kelnis bowed slightly. Then I will inform the Emperor that you are safe, in good health, and have wings again. I suspect he will be relieved on all counts, even if he cannot say so publicly. The ambassador turned to Hyunwoo. You have accomplished something remarkable. You gave wings to someone who had lost them. The implications of this will ripple across the galaxy. As the Valani delegation prepared to leave, colonists crowded around Alira, asking about her wings. Children pointed and laughed with delight at the light patterns. Other species present looked thoughtful, perhaps wondering what human engineering could do for their own disabilities or limitations. Taeho approached Hyunwoo with a tired smile. You caused me more stress in 2 weeks than I've had in 5 years as director. Sorry, Hyunwoo said, not sounding sorry at all. Don't be. What you did was incredible. Taeho looked at Alira, who was demonstrating her wings for a group of amazed children. You gave her more than flight. You gave her freedom. That night, after the crowds dispersed and the news drones finally left, Alira found Hyunwoo in his workshop. He was cleaning up the tools and equipment, putting everything back in order. I owe you a debt, Alira said. You don't owe me anything, Hyunwoo replied, not looking up from organizing his tools. I owe you everything, Alira corrected. You gave me my life back. More than that. You gave me a better life than I had before. Hyunwoo finally looked at her. What will you do now? Alira's wings spread slightly, glowing with soft blue light. Learn. Your people have so much to teach, about engineering, about refusing to accept limitations, about helping others without expecting reward. You're staying? Ji-won asked, entering the workshop with Dongsu and Yejin behind her. For a while, Alira confirmed. If you will have me. I want to understand how these wings work, how you built them, and... She hesitated. I want to help others. There are many Villani without wings living in darkness. If this technology can help me, it can help them too. Dongsu grinned. We'll need a bigger workshop. And more funding, Hyejin added. And probably about 1,000 more prototypes, Jiwon said. Hyunwoo looked at his team, then at Alira. Then I guess we have work to do. Alira smiled, and her wings glowed brighter, shifting through colors that represented joy, gratitude, and hope. She rose into the air, hovering in the center of the workshop. My people have a saying, she told them. The sky recognizes true wings, not noble blood. I used to think that meant birth wings. Now I know it means something else. True wings are the ones you choose, not the ones you're born with. She performed, a graceful loop in the air, the artificial wings moving with perfect precision. Thank you for teaching me that. Thank you for giving me wings that are mine by choice. As she flew through the workshop, testing movements and adjusting to the feedback, Hyunwoo watched with satisfaction. This was why he became an engineer. Not to build machines or repair ships, but to help people. The attachment procedure took 2 hours. Alira had to remain conscious the entire time so Dongsu could calibrate the neural interface. The device sat at the base of her skull, exactly where her original wings had connected. Tiny sensors reached into the neural pathways that had once controlled her birth wings. This is going to hurt, Jiwon warned, as she made the final connections. Your nerves are damaged. When they start receiving signals again, your brain might not understand at first. Alira gripped the edge of the workbench. Do it, the first connection activated. Alira screamed. Her whole body went rigid as alien sensations flooded her nervous system. The neural pathways that had been silent for weeks suddenly came alive with information. Her brain tried to process signals it hadn't felt since her wings were cut away. Should we stop? Hyejin asked, alarmed. No, Alira gasped. Keep going. Connection by connection, Dongsu activated the neural interface. Each one brought pain, but also something else. Sensation, awareness, the feeling of having wings again, even though these wings were made of metal and synthetic membrane instead of flesh and bone. The final connection clicked into place. Alira slumped forward, breathing hard. Sweat covered her face. Her hands shook. How do you feel? Hyunwoo asked quietly. Alira opened her eyes. They glowed brighter than anyone had seen before. I feel them, she whispered. They're not like my old wings. They're heavier, different, but they're mine. I can feel them. Outside, they could hear Ambassador Kelness arguing with Taeho. The Villani diplomat's voice was getting louder. They were running out of time. Try to move them, Dongsu said, watching his computer screen. Small movements first. Let your brain adjust. Alira closed her eyes and concentrated. The wings responded immediately. They unfolded smoothly, extending to their full length. The membrane glowed with soft light that started blue and slowly shifted to gold. The geometric patterns of light nodes created designs that moved and changed like living art. Everyone in the workshop stood frozen, staring. The wings were beautiful. Strange and artificial, yes, but beautiful. Alira's face showed pure joy. She tried lifting the wings and they rose smoothly. She tried folding them and they tucked against her back with perfect precision. The neural interface was working perfectly. Her thoughts translated into wing movements with barely any delay. They're magnificent, Jiwon breathed. But there was no time to celebrate. The workshop door burst open. Taeho stood there looking apologetic. Behind him was Ambassador Kelness and Prince Vorn. I'm sorry, Taeho said. I can't stop them anymore. Vorn stepped into the workshop, his silver wings spread wide in a display of dominance. His eyes found Alira immediately. There you are, my runaway bride. Time to come home. Alira stood up slowly, turning to face him. As she turned, her new wings moved with her. They caught the workshop lights and glowed brighter. Vorn stopped walking. His eyes widened as he saw the wings. What are those? My wings, Alira said simply. Ambassador Kelness pushed forward, staring at the artificial wings with shock. This is impossible. Villani wings cannot be replaced. The technology doesn't exist. Human technology, Hyunwoo said, stepping forward. We built them in 15 days. Vorn's shock turned to anger. His wings flared bright red. Those are not real wings. They're a mockery. An insult to our species. They're more real than you know, Alira said. Her voice was stronger now, filled with confidence. I can feel them. Control them. They respond to my thoughts and emotions just like my birth wings did. To prove it, she made the wings change color. Blue to gold to purple to green. The light patterns shifted and flowed, creating designs that no natural Volani wings could match. Kelnis looked troubled. "Princess Alira, I must ask you to come with us. Your father, the Emperor, has demanded your return. This modification does not change your obligation." "I have no obligation to a father who chose politics over his daughter," Alira said coldly. "I removed my own wings to escape that obligation. And now I have new wings, built not by Volani tradition but by human ingenuity and kindness." "You removed your own wings?" Vorn looked horrified. That's unthinkable. "I thought death would be better than marriage to you," Alira told him bluntly. "I was willing to be wingless forever rather than be your bride." "Does that tell you something about your character?" Vorn's face twisted with rage. "How dare you speak to me like this? You are nothing, a wingless exile who should be grateful I still want you." "I am no longer wingless," Alira said. She spread her artificial wings to their full extension. They were larger than Vorn's natural wings, and when the light patterns activated fully, they were brighter too. "And I will never be yours." The confrontation was interrupted by a noise from outside. More Volani ships were landing at the colony starport. Kelnis received a message on his communication device. His expression darkened. "The Imperial fleet has arrived," he announced. "Prince Vorn's father, Duke Van, is here personally. He demands to see Princess Alira immediately." "Let him come," Alira said. "I am not hiding anymore." The meeting was arranged for the colony's main plaza. It was the largest open space in the settlement, used for public gatherings and ceremonies. By the time Alira and the others arrived, hundreds of colonists had gathered to watch. News drones from several galactic networks floated overhead, recording everything. Duke Van stood in the center of the plaza with a full contingent of Volani guards. His wings were enormous, deep purple edged with gold, marking him as high nobility. He looked every bit the powerful aristocrat, accustomed to having his commands obeyed. "Princess Alira," he said in a voice that carried across the plaza, "your family has been very worried. It is time to end this childish rebellion and return home." Alira walked forward to face him. Her artificial wings were folded against her back, barely visible. "I am not returning. I removed my wings to escape the marriage contract. I am no longer bound by Volani law." "You are bound by duty and blood," Duke Van said coldly. "And those things on your back do not make you whole again. They are crude imitations built by primitives who do not understand what wings mean to our people." Hyunwoo stepped forward, anger flashing across his face. "We're not primitives. We're engineers who saw someone in need and helped her. You interfered in matters that do not concern you." The Duke replied, "The princess belongs to us." "I belong to no one," Alira said firmly. "And these wings are not imitations. They are better than what I lost." Duke Van laughed a harsh sound. "Better, child, those are toys. Metal and light. They could never replace true Volani wings." "Then watch," Alira said. She activated the wings fully. They unfolded in a cascade of light that made everyone in the plaza gasp. The membrane glowed with patterns that flowed like water, shifting through every color imaginable. The wings extended to a span larger than any natural wings present. But more importantly, Alira lifted off the ground. The movement was shaky at first. The wings beat awkwardly as her brain adjusted to the new biomechanics. But within seconds, she stabilized. She rose 10 meters into the air, then 20. The artificial wings moved smoothly, responding to her thoughts with precision. The Volani in the plaza stood frozen in shock. It wasn't possible. Wings could not be replaced. Everyone knew this. It was biological fact. But Alira was flying. She performed a loop in the air, gaining confidence with each movement. The wings left trails of light behind them, creating patterns in the sky. She climbed higher, then dove, pulling up just meters above the plaza floor. The crowd scattered, then cheered. Alira landed in front of Duke Van. Her wings were spread wide, glowing brilliant gold. She was breathing hard but smiling. "Human engineering," she said. "They didn't just build me wings. They gave me better wings than I had before. Wings that are mine by choice, not by birth. Wings that represent freedom, not obligation." Duke Van stared at her, his expression unreadable. His own wings had dimmed with shock. Ambassador Kelnis moved forward, his diplomatic mind already working. "This is unprecedented. If Volani wings can be replaced with artificial equivalents, it changes everything. Our entire social structure is based on wings being irreplaceable. Maybe it's time your social structure changed, Hyun-woo said quietly. Vorn stepped forward. His face twisted with anger and humiliation. This is unacceptable. She belongs to me by contract. Those artificial wings don't change the agreement. Actually, Kelna said slowly, they might. If Princess Alira has wings again, she cannot be classified as wingless. And if she has wings, she has the right to refuse marriage under traditional law. That law only applies to natural wings. Vorn shouted. The law says those with wings, Kelnis corrected. It does not specify natural or artificial. The law was written when artificial wings were impossible, so the distinction was never made. Duke Van's expression had changed from anger to calculation. He was looking at Alira's wings with new interest. Ambassador Kelnis is correct. This is a legal gray area. He turned to Alira. You have impressed me, Princess. Perhaps you are stronger than I thought. The second prototype was ready on day 13. The team had worked without stopping, pushing their bodies and minds to the limit. The new wings were half the weight of the first version. The frame was sleeker, the membrane more flexible. The neural interface had been upgraded with better signal processing. Alira stood in the workshop's testing area, wearing the wings attached to a safety harness. The harness was connected to ceiling cables that would catch her if she fell. Everyone gathered to watch, exhausted but hopeful. Remember, Dong-Su said, checking his computer one more time. Start with small movements. Let your brain adjust to the feedback. Don't try to fly yet, Alira nodded. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. The neural interface activated with a soft hum. The wings spread open smoothly. Everyone gasped. The movement was natural, graceful. The membrane glowed with soft blue light that pulsed gently. Alira's face showed wonder and joy. I can feel them, she whispered. They're heavy, but I can feel them. She tried to lift them higher. The right wing responded well, rising up. The left wing moved too, but jerked awkwardly. The frame was strong but not balanced correctly. When Alira tried to fold them against her back, the mechanism stuck halfway. It's okay, Hyun-woo said quickly. We can fix that. Try to hold them steady. Alira concentrated, keeping the wings spread. For 5 minutes she stood there, wings extended, adjusting to the sensation. The glow slowly changed from blue to purple, responding to her emotions. The team cheered. This was real progress. Then disaster struck. The left wing's frame suddenly bent under its own weight. The membrane tore with a sound like ripping cloth. The wing collapsed, pulling Alira sideways. She fell hard, saved from serious injury only by the safety harness. The team rushed to help her. Alira sat on the floor, one wing still attached and glowing, the other hanging in pieces. She stared at the broken wing for a long moment. Then she started crying, not quiet tears, deep, painful sobs that shook her whole body. All the hope, all the fear, all the loss came pouring out. I was foolish to hope, she said between sobs. I should have known better. Wings are not something you can build in a workshop. They are part of who we are. I can never be whole again. Ji-won knelt beside her, carefully removing the broken wing. Alira, this is just one failure. We'll try again. Why? Alira looked up at them with desperate eyes. Why are you doing this? I am nothing. A princess without wings. A bird that cannot fly. Let me go. Let the ambassador take me back. At least then you will all be safe. Hyun-woo sat down on the floor next to her. He was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he spoke. When I was young, my father died in a shuttle accident. The shuttle's engine failed and he couldn't fix it in time. Everyone said it was just bad luck. But I couldn't accept that. I studied engineering because I wanted to understand why things fail. I wanted to make sure no one else lost their father to bad luck. He gestured around the workshop. I failed hundreds of times learning my trade. Built machines that didn't work. Repaired ships that broke again. But each failure taught me something new. That's what humans do, Alira. We fail, we learn, and we try again. Your people are strange, Alira said, but her crying had stopped. Yes, Hyun-woo agreed. But we're good at not giving up. That night, Hyun-woo couldn't sleep. He lay on his workshop cot, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the broken wing. The design was wrong. They had been trying to copy Villani wings exactly, but that was the mistake. Human engineering worked differently. They needed to think like humans, not like Villani. He got up at 3 a.m. and started sketching. Not Villani wings. Something new. Something that combined Villani biology with human technology. By sunrise, he had filled 20 pages with designs. Ji-won found him still working when she arrived at 6. "You look terrible," she said. "I know what we've been doing wrong," Hyunwoo said, showing her the sketches. "We're trying to rebuild what Alira lost, but her body has changed. She's lighter now without the original wings. Her balance is different. We need to design for who she is now, not who she was." Ji-won studied the sketches, her eyes growing wider. "This could work, but we'll need to completely redesign the frame structure. Then we redesign it." He called an emergency meeting. The whole team gathered, looking worried. They thought Hyunwoo was giving up. Instead, he spread his sketches across the table. "We've been thinking about this wrong," he explained. "Vellani wings evolved for Vellani, but Alira's body is different now. We need to create wings specifically for her, wings that work with human engineering principles while respecting her biology." Dong-soo leaned forward, interested. "You want to make hybrid wings? Part Vellani biology, part human technology." "Exactly." Hye-jin picked up one of the sketches. "This frame design is brilliant. It distributes weight completely differently, but it will take days to fabricate." "We have 2 days left," Hyunwoo said. "Let's make them count." The team split up tasks. Hye-jin started building the new frame using advanced fabrication techniques. Dong-soo worked on improving the neural interface to handle more complex commands. Ji-won researched Alira's remaining neural pathways, finding connections they had missed before. Hyunwoo coordinated everything while also working on the wing membrane. He had realized that natural Vellani wings could change shape slightly during flight, adjusting to air currents. The new membrane needed to do the same thing. He added micro-actuators throughout the membrane that could flex and adjust based on air pressure sensors. Alira watched them work with quiet amazement. "You are all insane," she said, but there was warmth in her voice. "Probably," Hye-jin agreed without looking up from her fabrication machine. On day 14, Taeho came to warn them. "The Vellani have filed an official complaint with the colonial government. They're sending more ships. I can't hold them off much longer." "One more day," Hyunwoo pleaded. "Just give us one more day." Taeho looked at the partially completed wings on the workbench. "Are those going to work?" "I don't know, but we have to try," Taeho sighed. "One more day, but after that I can't protect you anymore. The colonial government will order me to hand Alira over, and I'll have no choice." That night, Alira found Hyunwoo working alone in the workshop. Everyone else had finally gone to sleep, but he was still adjusting the wing membrane. "Why are you doing this?" she asked quietly. "Tell me the real reason." Hyunwoo stopped working. He was silent for a long time. Then he spoke. "When I was 7, I watched a bird die because no one would help it. Everyone said it was just a bird, that birds die all the time, that I shouldn't waste my emotions on something so small. But I cried for that bird, and I promised myself that if I ever had the chance to save something that everyone else had given up on, I would try." He looked at Alira. "You're not a bird. You're a person who deserves to fly. And maybe your own people gave up on you. Maybe they decided you weren't worth saving. But I haven't given up, and I won't." Alira's eyes filled with glowing tears. "If this works, if you give me wings again, I will owe you a debt I can never repay." "You don't owe me anything. Just promise that when you fly again, you'll remember that some human engineer thought you were worth the effort." The next morning, Ambassador Kelnies arrived with an ultimatum. The Vellani Empire had lost patience. Alira must be turned over immediately, or the colony would face economic sanctions. Taeho stood in front of Hyunwoo's workshop, looking tired and defeated. "I'm sorry, Hyunwoo. I have my orders. You have to let them take her." Inside the workshop, the third prototype was almost ready. The new wings lay on the workbench, beautiful and strange. They didn't look exactly like Vellani wings. They were longer, with a different curve to the frame. The membrane had patterns of light-emitting nodes that formed geometric designs instead of organic patterns. "They're not finished," Ji-won said desperately. "We need more time to test them." "We're out of time," Alira said. She stood up, looking at the wings. "Attach them now." "But we haven't tested the neural interface yet," Dong-soo protested. "If the connection is wrong, it could hurt you." Alira looked at him calmly. "Then it hurts. But I will not go back without trying. I will not let them take me as I am now." Hyunwoo made the decision. "Do it, attach the wings." Hyunwoo's workshop became a research laboratory overnight. Books about Vellani biology covered every surface. Computer screens showed diagrams of wing structures and neural pathways. G1 brought equipment from her xenobiology lab, sneaking it out piece by piece so no one would ask questions. The problem was bigger than Hyunwoo had imagined. Vellani wings weren't just body parts. They were extensions of the nervous system, connected directly to the brain. Every movement, every adjustment in flight, happened through thousands of neural signals every second. The wings were also emotional organs. When Vellani felt strong emotions, their wings changed color and intensity. Joy made them bright. Sadness made them dim. Without wings, Vellani felt emotionally incomplete. It's like asking a human to see without eyes, Ji-won explained, showing Hyunwoo brain scans she had taken of Alira. Her neural pathways are still active. Her brain still sends signals to wings that aren't there. It must be agony. Alira sat in the corner watching them work. She had been quiet for days, speaking only when necessary. The hope in her eyes had dimmed after she learned how complex the problem was. "You should stop," she said finally. "This is impossible." "I should not have asked." Hyunwoo looked up from his computer. When humans first wanted to fly, everyone said it was impossible. "We're too heavy. We have no wings. The sky belongs to birds, not to us. But we built machines anyway. We refuse to accept impossible." "I am not asking for a machine," Alira said. "I am asking for wings that feel like part of my body. Wings that respond to my thoughts. Wings that glow with my emotions. You cannot build that. Watch me." Director Taeho visited again 2 days later. This time he wasn't alone. Behind him stood a Vellani diplomat wearing formal robes and carrying the symbol of the imperial house. "Hyunwoo," Taeho said, looking uncomfortable. "This is Ambassador Kelnis. He's looking for someone." The ambassador's wings were deep purple, almost black. They spread slightly as he entered the workshop, a subtle display of authority. "We are searching for Princess Alira of the Third House. Her family wishes for her safe return." Hyunwoo kept his face neutral. "I haven't seen any Vellani princess." "There was a crashed escape pod near your workshop," Kelnis said smoothly. "The pod was registered to a ship that left Vellani space without authorization. The princess was on that ship. I found an empty pod. Whoever was inside was already gone." Kelnis looked around the workshop, his large eyes taking in everything. He saw the books about Vellani biology. He saw the neural pathway diagrams on the screens. His wings flickered with interest. "How curious," he said. "You seem very interested in my species for someone who hasn't seen a Vellani recently." Taeho stepped forward. "Ambassador, unless you have evidence that Hyunwoo is harboring anyone, I cannot authorize a search of private property. Colonial law is clear." The ambassador's wings dimmed with displeasure. "Very well. But I must inform you that Princess Alira is engaged to be married. Her absence is causing a diplomatic incident. If she is found on this colony, there will be consequences." After they left, Alira emerged from the hidden room. Her face was pale. "They will not stop looking. You should turn me over to them. Save your colony." "No," Hyunwoo said simply. "Why?" Alira's voice rose with frustration. "Why do you care what happens to me? I am nothing to you. I'm nothing to anyone anymore." Hyunwoo walked over to her. "You're someone who chose freedom over comfort. Someone who refused to be sold like property. That's not nothing. That's everything." Alira turned away, but not before he saw tears on her face. Taeho stayed behind after the ambassador left. He looked at Hyunwoo with a mixture of worry and understanding. "I can give you 2 weeks. After that, if the Vellani push harder, I'll have to let them search." "I'm sorry, 2 weeks," Hyunwoo repeated. "We'll make it work." He called a meeting with Ji-won that night. They needed more help. Ji-won suggested 2 people. Dong-soo, a programmer who specialized in neural interfaces, and Hye-jin, a materials scientist who worked at the colony's manufacturing plant. Both arrived the next morning. Hyunwoo explained the situation, showing them Alira and the challenge ahead. They could refuse. They could walk away. This project could ruin their careers if it failed. Dong-soo sat down at a computer without a word and began reviewing the neural pathway data. Hye-jin examined Alira's wing stumps with professional interest. 2 weeks isn't enough time, Hye-jin said finally. "I know," Hyunwoo replied. "We'll need to work around the clock, test dozens of materials, build multiple prototypes." "I know," Hye-jin smiled. "Good, let's get started." The team worked like people possessed. Dong-soo mapped Alira's neural pathways, finding where the signals went when she tried to move her missing wings. Ji-won studied Vellani biology books, learning how the wings connected to muscles and bones. Hyjin tested every lightweight material she could find, looking for something strong enough to support flight, but light enough to not strain Alira's body. Hyunwoo coordinated everything, turning his workshop into a proper engineering lab. He barely slept, running on coffee and determination. Alira watched them with growing amazement. "Why are you all doing this?" she asked one night when everyone was still working at 3 in the morning. Hyejin looked up from her material tests. "Because it's a good problem. Because you deserve better than what your family gave you," Jiwon added. Dongsu just shrugged. "Because Hyunwoo asked." On the 5th day, they had their first major breakthrough. Dongsu successfully created a neural interface that could read the signals Alira's brain sent to her missing wings. The device was small, designed to sit at the base of her skull where her wings used to connect. When Alira thought about moving her wings, the interface picked up the signal. "It works," Dongsu shouted, showing everyone the computer screen. "She's sending clear movement commands. We can read them." But reading the signals was only half the battle. They still needed to build wings that could respond to those signals. Wings that could move and adjust in real time. Wings that could glow and change color like natural Volani wings. Hyejin presented her materials research on day 7. She had found a combination that might work. A carbon titanium frame for strength, covered with a synthetic membrane that could emit light. The membrane was originally designed for building windows that changed opacity. Hyejin had modified it to respond to electrical signals, making it glow in different colors. "It's not biological," she admitted, "but it might be close enough." They built the first prototype in 3 days. The wings were crude, heavy, and ugly, but they were wings. Hyunwoo and his team attached them to a harness that Alira could wear. The neural interface connected to a small computer that translated her thoughts into wing movements. Alira stood in the center of the workshop, wearing the prototype. Everyone held their breath as Dongsu activated the system. "Try to move them," Hyunwoo said softly. Alira closed her eyes, concentrating. The wings shuddered, then moved slightly. The right wing lifted a few centimeters. The left wing twisted awkwardly. Then the whole system failed. The wings went limp. Alira stumbled forward and Hyunwoo caught her before she fell. "I'm sorry," he said. "We'll try again." But Alira was smiling through her tears. "They moved," she whispered. "For a moment I felt them. They were mine." That moment of success gave them hope. They knew it was possible now. They just had to make it better. The team worked even harder, improving the design. They made the wings lighter. They improved the neural interface sensitivity. They added more movement points so the wings could flex and adjust like natural wings. On day 12, Ambassador Kelness returned with Prince Vorn, Alira's intended husband. Vorn's wings were silver and enormous, spread wide to show his importance. He demanded to see Alira, claiming she belonged to him by imperial decree. Taeho stood firm. "You have no authority here. This is human territory." "Then we will make it our authority," Vorn said coldly. His wings flared bright with anger. "One way or another, Alira returns with us." Hidden in the workshop, Alira heard everything through the communication system. Her hands shook as she touched the prototype wings hanging on the wall. "We're running out of time," she said. The night sky over New Jeju burned with streaks of falling metal. Hyunwoo stood outside his workshop, watching the escape pod tear through the atmosphere like a dying star. It wasn't supposed to land here. The colony starport was 15 kilometers east, with proper landing pads and emergency crews. This pod was crashing in the wasteland where nobody lived. He grabbed his emergency kit and climbed into his old transport vehicle. The colony administrators would send someone eventually, but Hyunwoo had been an engineer for 20 years. He knew that eventually might be too late. The crash site glowed in the darkness. The escape pod had buried itself halfway into the red sand, smoke rising from its cracked hull. Hyunwoo ran forward with his scanner, checking for radiation or fuel leaks. The readings were safe enough. He pulled out his cutting torch and began working on the sealed hatch. Inside, something moved. The hatch finally gave way with a screech of torn metal. Hyunwoo pointed his flashlight into the darkness and froze. A woman lay crumpled in the pod, but she wasn't human. Her skin was pale blue, almost silver in the light. Her eyes were too large, with vertical pupils that contracted against his flashlight beam. But that wasn't what made him stare. On her back were 2 ragged stumps where wings should have been. The wounds were sealed, but clearly not natural. Someone had cut them away. The stump still glowed faintly with blue light that pulsed like a dying heartbeat. "Don't touch me," she said in accented but clear human language. Her voice was weak but sharp with warning. Yunwu raised his hands. "I'm here to help." "You're hurt?" "I am dying," she corrected. "There is a difference." "Not if I can help it." He reached for his medical kit, but she tried to push him away. The effort made her gasp in pain. "You are human," she said, as if that explained everything. "You cannot understand what I have lost." Hyunwoo looked at the stumps on her back. "You're Vellani," he said quietly. He had seen pictures of her species before. The Vellani were famous across the galaxy for their beautiful wings that could light up like fireworks. Without them, she looked incomplete, like a sculpture with pieces missing. "I was Vellani," she whispered. "Now I am nothing." He ignored her protests and checked her injuries. Besides the wing stumps, she had broken ribs and internal bleeding. She needed a real medical facility, but the colony hospital would report her to the authorities. Something told Hyunwoo that would be a very bad idea. "What's your name?" he asked as he carefully lifted her from the pod. She hesitated, then spoke so quietly he almost missed it. "Alira, I'm Hyunwoo." "Hold on, Alira. My workshop isn't far." She passed out before they reached the transport vehicle. The workshop was Hyunwoo's home and workplace combined. He had built it himself when he first came to New Jeju, choosing to live away from the main colony where he could work in peace. Now he was grateful for the isolation. He laid Alira on his examination table and called his friend Ji-won. She arrived 30 minutes later with a medical bag and questions written all over her face. "Is that a Vellani princess?" Ji-won asked, staring at Alira. "How did you know she's a princess?" "The jewelry, Hyunwoo. That's royal house markings." Ji-won pointed to the silver band still wrapped around Alira's wrists. "And her wings. Someone didn't just cut them off. They were surgically removed at the base. That's a punishment reserved for royal family members who dishonor their house." Hyunwoo felt sick. What kind of dishonor gets your wings cut off? "I don't know Vellani politics." Ji-won began treating Alira's injuries with careful hands. "But we need to be careful. If she's running from her own people, they'll come looking." They worked through the night. Ji-won was a xenobiologist trained to treat different species. She sealed the internal bleeding and stabilized Alira's condition. As the sun rose, Alira's eyes finally opened. She stared at the ceiling for a long moment, then turned her head to look at Hyunwoo. "You brought me to your home. You needed help. Why?" The question was simple but heavy with confusion. "I am not your species. I am not your responsibility." Hyunwoo pulled up a chair and sat down beside her. "On Earth we have birds. They fly with wings like your people. Sometimes they get hurt and fall from the sky. When I was young, I found a bird with a broken wing. My mother said we should leave it because it would die anyway, but I took it home and fixed its wing with small sticks and tape. Everyone said I was wasting my time. Did it live?" Alira asked. "It flew again 3 weeks later." Hyunwoo smiled at the memory. "Maybe I'm still that same kid who can't leave broken things alone." Alira closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were wet with tears that glowed faintly blue. "My wings cannot be fixed with sticks and tape." "No," Hyunwoo agreed. "But maybe we can find another way." Ji-won came back with food and water. She explained to Alira that Vellani wings could not grow back once removed at the base. The neural pathways were too damaged. It was permanent. Alira listened without expression. When Ji-won finished, she asked a question that changed everything. "Your species," Alira said, looking at Hyunwoo. "You cannot fly. You have no wings. Yet you built machines that carry you into the sky and across the stars. If you can give flight to metal, can you give wings to flesh?" Hyunwoo and Ji-won looked at each other. The question was impossible. Crazy, the kind of challenge that would take months of research and might fail completely. "I don't know," Hyunwoo said honestly, "but I can try." For the first time since waking, Alira almost smiled. That is more than anyone else has offered. 3 days later, Director Taeho from the colony administration came to visit. He had heard about the crash through monitoring systems. Hyunwoo told him he found the pod empty, that whoever was inside must have walked away. Taeho didn't believe him, but he couldn't search Hyunwoo's private property without cause. "If you're hiding something," Taeho warned, "I'll find out. And if that something is politically sensitive, it could bring trouble to the entire colony." After he left, Alira emerged from the hidden room where she had been waiting. "He knows I am here." "Probably," Hyunwoo admitted. "But he'll give us time. Taeho is a good man. He understands that sometimes rules need to bend. That night, Alira told them her story. She was the third daughter of the Villani Emperor. She had been ordered to marry a prince from a rival house to seal a political alliance. But the alliance was corrupt, designed to sell Villani mining rights to a consortium that would strip their moons bare. Alira had refused. Her father chose politics over his daughter. Rather than be forced into the marriage, Alira had done the unthinkable. She removed her own wings and fled before the wedding ceremony. It was the ultimate act of defiance. Without wings, she had no value as a political bride, but it also meant she could never go home. I thought death would be easier, she said quietly, but I am a coward. I wanted to live, even without sky. Yunwoo looked at the wing stumps on her back. They still glowed faintly as if something inside her refused to accept that the wings were gone. Then we'll give you the sky back, he said.